I would like to share with you Chapter 8 of what I have so far called my story. If you bump into this video and you have not seen the previous chapters, they are all posted on YouTube, and you can see a link to them in the notes that are just below this video. Perhaps it would be most beneficial to watch Chapter 1 first and then come up to here. Obviously, you will choose to do as you see fit. I titled this Chapter 8, Going to the Palace. During the summer of 1977, I visited my local family doc for a routine annual visit and for some relief from my allergies. As we concluded the exam, Vince asked about Chad. I shared about our year since Chad had been born and about my estimation of his medical condition. "How's Kate doing with all of this?" "She is pretty determined to make the best of it, but that is hard for me because she won't engage me about his prognosis. We have begun to talk less and not about anything concerning Chad. There seems to be a growing distance between us." "Is your marriage at risk?" "No, I've never thought we would break up, if that's what you mean. And I don't think Kate does either." "Are you guys getting counseling?" "No." "What are you concerned about in particular?" "Obviously about Chad. I worry about our capacity to provide his care, but I also worry about us as a couple and about being parents. We've always thought that we would have a larger family, but the last thing we want is to have another child with such profound challenges." "Of course. Perhaps it would help if you had some idea whether there is any additional risk you might have with another child." "How would we go about that?" "There's a guy I know who has the best background to answer that. Dr. Pallas in Helena. He has been at Children's Hospital for many years. I met him at a seminar where he gave a talk about birth defects and birth trauma. He is really straightforward and a character to boot. He may be able to help shed some light on your situation. I'll refer you if you like." "Kate and I rejected placing Chad at Children's when he was born. You aren't suggesting that this is a solution now, are you?" "No, not at all. Go visit him. Let him see Chad and get an assessment. It may be the best kind of counseling you could get. Oh, and be prepared for a different kind of medical experience. Dr. Pallas is like no one I've ever met." I'll do it. Please make a referral for us." As we pulled into the driveway of the expansive campus at Children's Hospital, I heard Kate take several short breaths as she gathered Chad for yet another doctor's visit. Medical appointments had left us with a sense of gloomy inevitability. Each new diagnosis constricted the potential outcome even further. I felt the tension as well. When Dr. Pallas burst into the room, it was immediately apparent that no characterization of him fully encompassed his dynamic, uplifting energy. His beaming countenance filled the room. "Hi, I'm Pallas, and this is Dr. Jenkins, here for the summer to help us out." Dr. Jenkins was as tall and lanky as Dr. Pallas was stocky. A warm round of handshakes followed. "Let us see your boy Chatter. Put him up on the table so we can take a look at him." The doctors looked him over, Pallas sharing his observations with Jenkins. "You see here, there are no whorls or irregularities in his follicles." They rolled Chad over and over, looking on his back, neck, across his head and limbs, and up and down his spine. Finally, he turned to us. "Part of the reason I know that you wanted a consult with me is to determine whether Chad's condition is genetic, possibly preventing you from having another child. I see nothing about Chad indicating that he has any form of congenital abnormality. Simply put, his oxygen starvation at birth appears to be the sole reason for his condition. Does that help you at all?" Thanks. Yes, that does help. I certainly do not want to bring another challenged child into the world, Kate said. How about you, Greg? Does that help? After seeing the damage that can be caused in 15 minutes before birth, I'm not sure I'm willing to take the risk of it all, I responded. Let me ask you then. Would you have another child if the risk were 1 in 1,000? Probably yes. 1 in 100. Maybe. What if I told you that about 1 child in 30 has some form of birth defect and 1 in 100 some form of birth-related injury? Ooh, no, that is scary. As you will now know, life is not a perfect walk in the park. Every child comes with a journey of its own. The richness of a child includes the bright spots as well as the inevitable challenges they all face. Dr. Jenkins joined in. Dr. Pallas has been here for more than 20 years. I came here to share in the wonderful process that children has. It has been a great summer for me. What is more than that, it has been heartwarming to get to know his family. He and Millie have adopted 8 children from the hospital in addition to the 5 they brought into the world. They love and nurture them all. It is pretty amazing to watch that household in action. Kate and I were awestruck. We inquired of Dr. Pallas about his brood and the wild time they must have raising children with a mix of complex and differing handicaps. Pallas teased, chided, self-deprecated, and grinned as he talked. He extolled the virtues of his fabulous wife and the richness they had meeting the special needs and idiosyncrasies of the children as they blossomed. Jenkins watched and smiled broadly, patiently listening to stories he had obviously heard before. When asked, we talked about how impossible it had been for us 50 miles from nowhere to get even temporary help. And to that, Dr. Jenkins responded, I appreciate that you're resistant to placing Chad with us at Children's. We understand that, but I want you to know that the world does provide in miraculous ways. As it has been with those children taken in by Dr. Pallas and Millie, somewhere there's a couple closer to medical services who would love to care for Chad. He would benefit from their care, as would you, and it would be rewarding for them as well. Perhaps you would be open to that potential. Slowly, reluctantly, we nodded positively to him. Please give it some thought, he said. We had indicated we would think about it, but neither Kate nor I embraced his suggestion that day. No matter, seeds once planted grow in ways no one can imagine. So it was with us. As we walked out into the hall, Dr. Pallas gave Kate a playful pat on the bottom. There's nothing wrong with the two of you, he said, looking at us with an impish grin. Go for it. Have another child. You'll be great parents. Sometimes there are seemingly innocuous events which manifestly alter our lives. This had been one. The bittersweet memory of that uplifting day remains with me still. It foretold so much about our journey which was to unfold. Richly apparent to me now that we could never have imagined as we left the hospital that day. That's chapter 8. Thanks. If you like it, give a thumbs up. Please follow. It has been a wonderful, warming experience to have many of you respond, to share, and to give effect and impetus to your own lives and to the changes that you have undergone over the past years as you have grown through your lives. Thanks so much.